Achieving success is amazing enough, but using your success to give back to your community is an inspiration. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing two exceptional women professionals and sisters. These extraordinary women share how their own triumphs fueled a deep desire to give back and why they've made it their mission to empower the next generation of women leaders through education and resources. Our conversation is a powerful reminder of the impact we can make when we channel our success into uplifting and transforming the lives of others in our community. Welcome to the Women's Leadership Today podcast, a feature of Women's Leadership Today. I'm your host, Nikolette. I'm speaking with Natalie Zimmerman and Angela Milligan, sisters and co-owners of Educational Services and Consulting, an all-women, family-owned and operated company specializing in insurance pre-licensing and entrepreneurial workshops. Angela is a Penn State graduate with a degree in supply chain and information systems. And Natalie is a Bloomsburg University graduate with a double major in finance and business management. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have you guys on today. To get us started, can you both give our listeners a little insight into your professional journeys? Natalie, why don't you get us started?
Sure. Yeah. So after graduation, I was fortunate enough to have a job secured and spent the next 10 years working in New York City at UBS Financial Services. And for 8 of those 10 years, my primary focus was in the high net worth and ultra high net worth wealth management space. My role there was to manage client relationships by utilizing my team's structure to provide clients with tailored solutions and the many products that we had offered. I strive to ensure that each resolution adhered to the superior quality of service, and I also managed our team's internship program and as well as built a partnership with our home office college training program. Currently, I also hold several securities licenses as well as my life and health licenses.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, after graduating from Penn State from the Smeal College of Business in 2012, I spent about the next 7 years in corporate doing supply chain there. So the first 5 years I was at L Brands supporting Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works. I had a few different roles there. So for the first year, I was in their distribution center as a supervisor. And then after spending that year there, I moved into more of corporate roles. So I was first a space analyst supporting Bath and Body Works. So kind of that role was, how the store set up and where products placed, and kind of making sure that those items are earning the spot that they're in and producing money for the store of where they're located. Then after that year, I moved into kind of an inventory role. So being an inventory deployment analyst. So I was responsible on a daily basis to allocate all the units to the 1,600 stores that Bath and Body Works had at the time in the US. Also responsible for doing replenishment buys, figuring out production capacity for the holiday season that starts in July for units that we sell at Christmas time. And then after I left Bath and Body Works, I moved to DSW supporting them in the classics category as an assortment planner. So kind of planning item level SKUs for them.
So you guys have a lot of experience, and I'm excited to jump into that. So first, I want to ask if you could tell us a little bit about your aunt's mission. When we had been planning this session, you had talked about how your aunt had started ESC, if I'm getting this correct. And you had this great story about her mission and how educational services and consulting got to where it was today. So why don't you get us started with that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So our Aunt Connie, she had a mission, as we talked to you previously about, and that was simply to help others. So her philosophy, we come to find and came to find throughout our whole childhood with her was rooted in civil liberty, social equality, and the strive to service the underprivileged and less fortunate. So she began this whole ideology early in her career, with education being one of the pillars of her life. So she graduated with honors from Penn State University with a Bachelor's of Science degree. She also received her master's degree from the University of South Florida. And she was a Teacher of the Year award recipient as a history teacher within the Polk County Public School System in Florida until ultimately joining Polk State College, where she became the continuing workforce education program manager. She was also a real estate agent and an insurance agent. So it was through her connection with Polk State, as well as her insurance industry network, that led her to having her courses that she designed approved for use by the Florida Department of Financial Services, which are the courses that we still use today. So once the approval was received, she founded Educational Services and Consulting, and all of this took place in the early 2000s, around 2001. So now, almost 25 years later, ESC, we offer extensive pre-licensing classes, as you mentioned, for those interested in obtaining their all lines accredited claims adjuster designation, as well as those interested in earning their registered customer service representative designation. Both courses are offered entirely online, including the final exam. They are self-paced type learning styles designed to be flexible for the individual who's looking to expedite their licensing process by taking these designation courses. They're offered through an open enrollment format, so there's no need to set a start date or an end date. There's no proctor or moderator required either. And also with reciprocity within the insurance industry, we have connection to 34 other states, as well as the Florida adjuster license is one of the most sought after in the country. So we have people registering from all over the country through our website and online portal for those courses that our aunt created. We are both very thankful to our aunt for this opportunity, and we only hope we're making her proud with the direction that we're taking ESC in.
That's awesome. And how does what you guys are doing now and how it got started differ from maybe what the industry was doing previously?
Sure. And early on, she taught courses in person. So she would partner with 35 or so other colleges around the state of Florida, and did those classes in person. So you'd come for a weekend, you would take those courses, and then you would sit for the final exam right there within the classroom. Um, Through that whole process, and with the reciprocity that Florida offers, which means basically if you live in a state outside of Florida, you can get your Florida non-resident adjuster license and then reciprocate that back to your home state. Therefore, you do not have to take the state exam because of that connection and reciprocity offered between the states. So now we have moved everything. All of the courses are online, like I mentioned, making it a lot easier. Anywhere that you have internet connection, you can take the courses: phone, iPad, tablet, laptop. It doesn't matter. As long as you have internet connection, our courses are compatible with most all devices. And you can simply do it from the comfort of your home instead of having to go to a conference room or a classroom at this point.
So that really extends the reach.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And I love what you said about how one of your aunt's pillars was education. And that was so important to her. How has that affected you guys in your professional journey as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kick off, definitely. I mean, um, doing well in education and learning as much as you can, I think has always been me and Natalie's goal, even as an undergrad. I mean, just getting involved in as much as you can on campus, just having different experiences definitely helps that growth and knowledge that, you want to achieve throughout your life. But then even after that and in your professional career, going to hear different speakers talk, listening to podcasts like this, and just kind of continuing to learn, I think has always been something that we've strived to do and we kind of find passion in doing.
Yeah, and I would also say, you can always continue to learn. So that's something that we've taken from, her ideology and mission around education. And in really any industry, you can strive to become the best at that industry. And there are designations and courses and opportunities, across the board. So finding what you're passionate about and then learning as much as you can about that was something that we found from her, and certainly something that we continue to do today.
So I was lucky enough to get to know the two of you through a coworker whose daughter attends Penn State. That's your alma mater, Angela. She's a member of the Women in Business, which you recently spoke with. Angela, you were in this program back in college as well, correct?
Yes, I was.
And can you tell us a little bit about the Women in Business program and how it helps to set you and other young women up for success?
Yeah, definitely. So, Women in Business, or WIB, what I might be calling it throughout this, it's a student organization at Penn State that provides professional, philanthropic, and leadership opportunities to its student members. So, they hold, professional events. So, they have people come in to talk about their work experiences, hold resume workshops. They have recruiting events, but one of the ones I always talk about and my family knows about is they hold an etiquette dinner. And so that was pretty interesting because you go and you learn how, in professional settings or at a banquet or a wedding, like, which glasses are yours, which silverware is yours. And I still use it to this day. I'll be out at dinner with my husband and it's like, okay, which water glass is mine? So just kind of learning those professional skills in college was great. And I still use them to this day. But besides obviously doing the business side of women providing those opportunities for their students, they are involved in a bunch of other activities on campus. So FON is a big thing, which is Penn State's dance marathon. They also hold an annual conference every year, which is called the Powerful Women Paving the Way Conference. They raise money for other charitable organizations like Susan G. Komen, and also do just other social events for their members to feel a sense of community. So that's kind of what WIB does as a whole. But kind of to answer that second part of your question of kind of what it gave me in my personal and professional growth. So while I was at campus, I was lucky enough to be an executive member on their executive board. So I was their community service and social chair. So I was in charge of doing those fun events, but then also finding opportunities within the community to give something back, which, like we've talked about, is something that I'm really passionate in and is really important to me. So through this role at such a young age, I gained leadership skills, communication skills, teamwork, time management, and the list can go on and on, but those are some of the big ones. And especially as a college student and someone who's 21 and being thrown into that leadership position and being someone who students can come and talk to and holding yourself in that regard was really important and beneficial to me that I used then transferring into the real world as well. And then obviously, like I said, with giving back and everything. So being able to be a part of Thon for them. So I actually danced in the 2012 Thon as one of the 6 dancers. So, I mean, I could talk about Thon and go on and on forever, but for people who don't know, it's a 46-hour, no sitting, no sleeping dance marathon that raises money for the Four Diamonds Fund, which helps kids with cancer that's being treated at the Hershey Medical Center of Pediatric Cancer. So I think at, an impressionable age of being in college and kind of finding out who you are, of just being a part of something bigger is huge, and seeing, that you can make a difference and that you're, it's not just you, to give you perspective on what life is really all about. So being able to have all those different functions to be a part of within Women in Business really changed me as a person, a human, professional, kind of all that stuff, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, being a college student, you don't really know which direction you're going into a lot of the time. You don't know exactly who you are. And sometimes it really doesn't feel like you're set up to succeed in the real world in that kind of regard. So it's great that you had a community that set you up for success, right? And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about education, about always learning, about always improving, right? So these are the skills that they really gave you,
Yeah, absolutely. Because it definitely also gave you the power and oomph and feeling like the confidence that, you can go talk to these professionals that come in at a young age and hold yourself with high regard and being able to talk professionally and kind of giving you tips and tricks of how to do that and get you there mentally. And I mean, also just having fun as a college kid, but kind of giving that twist of learning stuff that you can use, for the rest of your life, basically, to help you be successful.
Yeah, making education fun. What a concept, right?
I know, right?
Right.
It's mind blowing.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you presented on that event for those future women leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. So through our workshop, we wanted to create a space for informal conversation where women business majors at Penn State could think about small business, entrepreneurship, and how that can be a part of their future careers. So we tried to form discussions around the importance of small business to the overall economy, learning about small business development and navigation, and also how to take advantage of entrepreneurial career opportunities that aren't necessarily right in the forefront of your mind. So we did different activities to engage these, primarily 18 to 22-year-old women. And by the end of the workshop, we really couldn't get the conversation to stop, which was really encouraging and inspiring for Angela and I. So it was a lot of fun, and we really hope to conduct these workshops in the future and continue the conversation around women in entrepreneurial roles like Angela and I are, and to talk about our journey as well as how it can help lead you to leadership roles and success within your career. Just providing an example to those girls was really powerful for us, as well as we could hear from them and their responses and their engagement, how that transpired both ways.
Yeah. Is that the first time you did a workshop like that?
An in-person workshop, yes. Yeah, it was the first time for us.
But that's really exciting. And what a great opportunity, right? To take what you've learned through your career and give it back. Because ESC is a pretty small business, right? Relatively.
Yes, yes. So it's a family business. So when our aunt passed away, it was transferred to our mom and then ultimately to my sister Angela and I. So the three of us are managing the business and taking it in the direction that we're going today. So relatively small, but we are mighty.
Small but mighty. That's the way to go, right? Sounds like a lot of women I know.
Yep.
So I want to talk more about giving back, which we've already established is something you're both very passionate about. Why is giving back so important to you? And what efforts besides the workshop and hopefully doing more of those in the future do you plan to ensure that you continue to give back to your community, especially future women leaders?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is it's important, to have women in these leadership roles and to have, professionals to look up to, because whenever you can see someone that looks like you, maybe have been through experiences like you, it's important to see someone else sitting at that same table as you, right? So the more of us that can get to that level, to be able to have young girls or, college students, anyone even past that, being able to look up and say like, she's there. So like that gives me hope. And like that means that I could get there too someday. And so being able to foster that and to be able to provide education or just kind of that viewpoint that this is achievable, this is obtainable, is something that we really strive to, that, anything's possible. And if you can see us doing it, that means you can too. I think the other part that we touched on too a little bit, and you talked about with education and just giving back. Another way that Natalie and I personally have started to take on that other part of developing future leaders and young professionals for themselves is, so we actually just launched, it actually came out a few weeks ago. We created an endowment fund with the college that the course was initially set up with. So students can log in, apply to get funding to take our courses for free. So, well, through the endowment, but they won't have to pay for the course, because we know how important it is to, have the education to give them the opportunity to build a better future for themselves. And maybe something they couldn't ever think that they could have that type of lifestyle. So we are very proud in the fact that it is live, it is out there. So we are extremely proud and happy to have that now, that we can work through as well to help people out in the community that want a better career path for themselves.
What a fantastic opportunity. I mean, I know firsthand, something as simple as just a certificate can stand in the way of doing what you really want to do or changing your life, right? Do you guys have any clients or any success stories where it really, really turns something around? Maybe not even that specifically, but in your program?
Yeah, so we actually there's a few, but one that sticks out that maybe happened a few years ago, I think. There was it kind of ended up being like a family event, but I believe there was a son who took our course and he passed. He got a job, and then his like mom took it, sister took it, dad took it. So he sent us pictures of he now works at for like a third party adjuster placement firm, but he sent us pictures of him at work saying, like, I never thought that this could be possible. And their mom actually ended up having lunch with our mom. So it's been like this whole thing of, I mean, once you find out about this course and people take it, it ends up being, I feel like, a legacy thing that it just gets passed mouth to mouth a lot because they're like, you should take it. Like, look at where I'm at. So that was pretty cool to see that it wasn't just like this one individual who found it, which was great. But now their whole family is a success story and doing great for themselves.
Absolutely. To empower an entire family, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, to get these pictures and stuff, so that was definitely a cool moment to say the least.
So let's shift back to how education can empower future leaders, right? Um, why, in your opinion, is it so valuable for women leaders? And we've spoken about this a little bit in the beginning. I know both up and coming and currently striving to advance in their careers.
Sure, yeah. So, we build better, more honest relationships as that power balance shifts to, like Angela mentioned, seeing more women in powerful positions of leadership. So, we as women, bring more diverse viewpoints into policymaking and management, which holds true to the philosophy that, diversity is good and discussion involving different viewpoints that inherently enhances results. So to support ourselves as women to stay in those leadership positions, as well to have the courage to take advantage of those massive career changing steps, you have to have confidence in yourself and your brand. And so having a foundation rooted in knowledge is a great way to gain that confidence. And that foundation can simply be created through learning and ultimately education. And that's really, the foundation of what our aunt believed in, as well as what, Angela and I continue to strive for today, is that foundation rooted in knowledge really can set you up on a pathway to success.
Yeah, absolutely. Angela, what about you?
I mean, I can just echo kind of what Nat said because I know we've talked about it, but just like you know, being able to just always have those different I don't know, things to make you think differently, like having someone else throw something out there and being like, huh, I never thought about it that way. Or, the just having different points of view is huge. And I think that also then leads to you just learning because you never thought about something that way before. So I think the more opportunities you get to be in those situations is, you know, monumental. And you should not look at those as something scary or that you're not ready for, but like as a learning opportunity and take advantage of those when you get them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
In your opinion, what skills or knowledge do you think are absolutely critical for developing leaders in the workplace today?
So I wanted to take this question just because of my history with working with interns, as well as through the graduate training program in my previous role, and gave some thought to this response. And I believe that though the skills and knowledge are to take advantage of groups that companies offer, like mentorships, peer sharing, any networking opportunities, while they can be somewhat scary, go to them. Because by using this knowledge, you again build your brand, and which will become unique and noticeable through the power that you receive from those different events. And I will say that most successful leaders have shared that really there are two characteristics that are not teachable, but they are critical for career and leadership development. And those are your ability to be on time and to have a great work ethic. So if you show up on time with a great work ethic to do whatever the task is that you are assigned to do, you will build your brand. You will be confident in building that brand, and that will set you up on what we believe is a good path towards successful careers and leadership management roles. So be on time and work hard, and that will be the best foundation that you can provide yourself.
That is so funny because my mother has always instilled that in me hardcore. Just those two things, right? Be on time, work hard. And I can't tell you how many professional situations those two things pushed me through to success. And you know what? It's so funny because, there's tons of skills that, you have to implement in the workplace, a lot of soft skills and stuff like that. But those two things, they seem so obvious, right?
Yeah.
So you don't hear it suggested a whole lot. So I do absolutely love that you brought that up. That's fantastic.
So I think another like twofer for what Natalie mentioned. Kind of right, yeah. I think kind of we've touched on it, but just a way to wrap it up is just like to stay curious. Like always ask questions, always, want to learn something new. Like, oh, why are we doing it this way? Oh, can you show me this process? Because I don't know much about it. Like, always just continue to be curious of learning more about your role, what could be next for you, just always, and then what pertains into getting to that next for you. So just always staying curious. And then also know that you're going to have mistakes and that you're going to fail, and knowing that you're never going to be perfect in the role that you're in, and then use that again as a learning opportunity to be like, okay, I screwed up, but I learned to not do that ever again. So just know that you're not going to be perfect, and it's okay because people always make mistakes. It's just about how you recover for those, and try not to do those again, but know that no one's ever going to be perfect, and your company won't expect you to be perfect. So it will all be okay.
That's a great note too about learning on the job. So you don't always have to go to a specific learning event or sign up for a course. Sometimes the best learning you can do is right there when you're in the thick of it, right?
Right.
Especially when we make mistakes, I think. This is an excellent learning opportunity for the future. I'm sure you guys have made plenty of mistakes and learned better that helped you to develop ESC, right?
Oh, yes.
And my old boss used to say, we know you're going to make mistakes, but don't ever make the same mistake twice, because that shows that you're not learning from those mistakes. So to Angela's point, is spot on. Make the mistakes, learn from them. You'll be a better employee, and ultimately, again, set yourself up for success by learning from those mishaps, so to speak.
Love it. Love it. As we wrap up today, can you both leave our listeners with the best tips on how to give back what they've learned? So, we've talked about the importance of education, continuing to learn, learning on the job, learning from your mistakes. When you have all that experience and education, how can you then give that back to others? All of us don't have, the access to set up an awesome fund or something big like that. So what are some small ways that us as leaders can give back to emerging leaders coming up now?
Yeah, so kind of what we just talked about. My biggest thing, I think, is whenever you're a leadership in this role to give back is whenever you do get involved in those groups or organizations, whether that is, in your corporate workplace, with your alma mater, in your community, is to play an active role in those. So don't just go and sign up and be like, oh, yep, I'm on the subscription list, so I'm good to go now. Like actually attend the events, speak up, take a leadership role in them, like actually play an active part in those communities that you're a part of, because there's other people there that are wanting to hear your voice and hear what you have to say, just like you're going to hear someone else's voice and hear what they have to say. So with someone who's knowledgeable in those areas, and I mean, me and Natalie are still young professionals, so we can give so much, but we're also learning too. So we're a part of organizations, and we go to learn and listen and hear what they have to say as well. So it's a continuing cycle, but just, I would say, show up and be there now and to listen to what people are saying and actually contribute yourself to those environments.
Yeah. And if you never stop learning, right, it's always give and take.
Right.
you're never going to reach the point where you just have stuff to give and nothing left to learn, right? So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Natalie, what tips do you have on how to give back to emerging leaders?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, we've heard multiple times from the current Vice President Harris, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you are not the last. And that saying has really stuck with Angela and I, because we find ourselves relating that to our aunt's idea of providing educational opportunities whenever possible. So, as Angela mentioned, anyone can be a mentor by just sharing experiences and what you've learned. So that will then inherently help the next generation of business leaders because they will start with a knowledge base founded on those experiences. So put yourself in a position to take advantage of those networking opportunities because you honestly never know who you might meet, and that can be very, very powerful for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. That is all the time we have, but it was a pleasure to speak with you today.
Yes. Thanks for having us again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
We release 2 episodes every month, and you're not going to want to miss a single one. You can now watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast streaming service. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe today, and follow along with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you again, Natalie and Angela, and thank you to our listeners. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening. The Women's Leadership Today podcast is just one feature of the Women's Leadership Today community. We empower women to advance in their career through targeted professional development learning experiences and resources, such as live and on-demand courses, customized training solutions, up-to-date publications, and more. Visit womensleadershiptoday.com to join our community and take your career to the next level. Together, we can empower women everywhere to lead, innovate, and inspire change.